What is up, guys? What is up? What is up? Let's get into it. Let's talk about the upcoming NFL and college football games we got coming to you guys live. I'm going to pull up some screens here. I'd like to get some music going on this, but unfortunately, I'm not sure how to quite frankly use that just yet, but that's in the works. But we are going to go live for about a half hour or so, 45 minutes, and kind of run through the board for college and pros. We'll talk about some of the games that could jump off at the page. We do have a big matchup. Okay, we have a huge matchup. Georgia, Alabama kicking off on Saturday. That's going to be a big one that we talk about. Let's see who we got coming in the chat right now. We do have 6 people currently, so wait for a few more people to hop in. But let me know who's all watching. If you guys are out there, say hello. Light up that comments box, and let's get it going, okay? Welcome, welcome. Make sure you guys all smash that like button as you come into the chat, and feel free to let me know who is actually here. Love seeing some familiar faces on these live streams. JR, what's up, man? Love seeing that logo there. Appreciate all my channel members. Today's good. Today's good. Yesterday and Sunday kind of had some bad breaks. Would have won almost $5,000 if San Francisco didn't blow that game. So that's that was a little bit of a stinger I had. But hey, we live to bet another day. So, Bong Tokes, what's happening? I just reset my browser, so I have to kind of log in a little bit here. We are going to run the board here. See how many people we get in the chat. I was hoping that we get a lot more to kind of get going here. So we'll wait and see if we get some more people trickling in. Figured I'd just go live instead of making a full video where we, I probably should have did the full video, but I'd love to do a live stream kind of midweek before we have action and all that good stuff within college football. All right, and we are off. We are off. Okay, so let's get into it. Really hoping we get some more faces here. Did you guys get notifications? Let me know in the chat. I'm kind of curious how this all works on your guys' end, or if it just you just stumbled upon it. But we got 9 people. If we get all those thumbs up, YouTube will send more people our way. We got to have that. We got to have a little bit more than 9 people to get going. But let me screw with this a little bit. All right, that's good enough for me. All right, so what's everyone up to? Just waiting for some baseball to kick off. Paul, what's happening, man? All right, now we're getting some people. Top MFer in here. Yeah, man, that was fun. I don't know. It kind of has to be in the mood for that. It's kind of tough with kids to kind of get out of the, usually I just have the game on and then baseball and other TVs and just kind of go back and forth during commercials. It's kind of tough to lock in 3 hours right now. It's right around bedtime, so it's kind of tough to set that up before the game starts. But yeah, let's run down the board. We got enough people in here. If you guys can, make sure you like that, hit that like button. That's what lets YouTube know that we are live. I was gonna wait till we get 20 people, but we can't do it until we get that like button hit. So All right. So this is something I was to look at. I was going to give you guys some of the insight coming up here from Outlier. It's kind of a way to give some access to some free premium content. Really love this platform. If you guys aren't using it, make sure you check it out. Links down below for that 7-day free trial. Make sure you sign up because it's kind of like my morning routine now since I've started using it, where I just basically take about a half hour and skim through all the betting trends and insights, and kind of saves me a lot of the legwork, okay? And then I just kind of touch upon the injuries and matchups from there, okay? And then we can obviously follow the money. But we're going to talk about some of the games in their entirety, but this is kind of where we're at right now, where I want to lend towards the conversation right now about some of these insights that I felt relevant to talk about, and then we will run the board, okay? First one being, we can look at kind of the Seattle-Detroit game. That's going to be a big one jumping off the page. Lions, I think that the Seahawks might be a little bit fugazi. I think Detroit's really caught their stride. 7-1 in their last 8 games as favorites. That's a big number to talk about, okay? Next, Tennessee. They're kind of going to be in shambles, in my opinion. I think that's something where we look at Tennessee a little deeper, and you got to really worry about the future of them, okay? Malik Willis, leaving them and then going to Green Bay. What a story that has been. But Will Levis, he's not made for the NFL, in my opinion. I've kind of really stayed away from Tennessee outside of week 1, where they kind of pissed that spread away against the Steelers. All right. But let's talk about some of the games, and we'll kind of go in order, okay? And this is where we're going to get into the first NFL game, and then I will touch upon a couple big college football games, at least kind of the headliners, I guess, if you will. But we're going to run the board here and talk about some of the big matchups we have. Hopefully, it kind of stinks too, because it's kind of a dead week for college football, or for NFL for that matter. The biggest game that we could talk about is going to be Buffalo and Baltimore, in my opinion. The Chargers, Herbert's not getting it done for me. And then pretty much down the list, the next biggest one we're going to have is probably Washington and Arizona, after the way that Jaden Daniels has been playing. All right. And obviously for all you NFCers out there, we get Cowboys Giants, which by all intents and purposes, that will be a dud. Okay. But I look for Dallas to bounce back in that spot. I think that the Giants are a little bit kind of dead in the water, if you will. And that's kind of where I look at the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. I think this is one where we get a blowout, kind of responding off of that loss. They do have some offensive line woes, but this is something where, will the Giants continue what they did against Cleveland? Cleveland's line was decimated, them winning 21-15. I don't really see that being the case here. I think Dallas bounces back. I'd probably give that early lean to Dallas. I do think this number has the potential to touch 6, and that's kind of where I'm at. Okay. Next one we're going to get into will be Atlanta and the Saints. Get your Alvin Kamara tickets ready for Offensive Player of the Year, kind of taking over that McCaffrey award from last year. He's probably going to be an MVP consideration, but this is something where I do see him to continue to have some success. I think I'm going to bang the anytime touchdown for him. He kind of let me down last week. It was one of the only ones I missed out of a big spot here, because we did get a huge kind of anytime touchdown parlay that I had, where all I needed, the only one I missed was Kamara. So go figure. So another one where we're just one leg away from at least 3K in that bet. But I digress. That's why you don't bet parlays, guys. Don't listen to me. But anyways, the Saints game, I'm going to be probably all over the Kamara, all over his props. We saw what was able to be done to the Falcons. Carson Steele had his way, and he's none of the, I guess you would call, not the bell cow that Kamara is. He's going to get 20-plus carries, probably 5 receptions, and just light up the stat board. Probably my best fantasy play was picking Kamara in all of my leagues, all 4 of my leagues. So shout out to him. Hopefully he wins that award. I don't know what the futures is right now, but that's kind of where I'm looking at it. And I am going to get into kind of the actual games right now, because I don't want to be going too deep into into no man's land. I could talk forever about betting trends and go down the line like that. Okay. But that's kind of where we get into the games. And we talked about Dallas and the Giants, and then I want to get into that New Orleans Saints games. That's going to be the one we touch upon. We can see right here, a lot of the money is going to be on Saints. Okay, so a lot of Saints love. Grab that 1.5. before it's too late. This number has the potential to get to 2. And that's kind of where I look at the Saints having, the trendy play. But for some reason, we look at the money, and right now the large percentage of the bets is on the Falcons at home. So it is a divisional game, divisional dogs. I like it. We'll take the Saints here. That'll be probably a best bet. I don't care if it gets a little chalky later on in a week. But give me that, Kamara. And, I think that Olave and Derek Carr's success continues to surmount. All right. Next one will be kind of the ugliest game that we're going to talk about. Boy, the Cincinnati Bengals, if it can't get any worse, they have to go from getting their ass kicked on Monday Night Football to playing the Carolina Panthers, okay? And don't get it twisted, guys. Do not get it twisted. I heard today on a podcast, this is the first time since, I believe, 2000 or 2001 where we look at the largest underdog of the week, 3 weeks in a row, has won outright. Hasn't happened since 2000 or 2001. So check that one out. That is a huge, huge betting trend. So for all intents and purposes for this week, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say it's going to happen 4 times in a row. It's never been done before. But we look up and down the odds board, and you can see the money line values. Right now, the Jags at 260. And then we can even talk about a little farther. It will be the Broncos plus 295 against the Jets. And actually, no, it's the Patriots plus 420 on the road taking on San Francisco after a loss. So if you're feeling frisky, go for 4 weeks in a row where the biggest underdog has won outright. Take the New England Patriots on the money line. I won't be doing it, but hey, guys, it's not betting if you don't try. So that is kind of where I'd be at if you guys want to throw a little pizza money at that one. But back into that Cincinnati game where we do find it right here, Cincinnati and Carolina. Will Cincinnati bounce back? I don't know. They have a lot of moving parts right now in that club. Okay, I don't really see a lot of the love that I felt before the season where I had them as a potential Super Bowl contender. Okay, but I'm going to continue talking about it, guys. If you can do me a favor, make sure you guys all smash that like button. We got 14 people live in the chat right now, but there's only 6 thumbs up. Make sure you guys give me a thumbs up. That's kind of what we need to do here on YouTube. Let's the algorithm know that we're live. All right. But that's kind of where we get into it, and we can go further down the board. Cincinnati right now taking an overwhelming amount of the bets and the public money. And at minus 4.5, will the Red Rocket have another one in the cards? That will be determined, but I think this is something where later on in the week, I want to see kind of Cincinnati's injury report transcend a little bit. But Carolina at home, Andy Dalton, if you actually dive into kind of the Pro Football Focus numbers with the Panthers, it was never as bad as it seemed to be with Bryce Young. So getting him out of the equation, you saw what Carolina was able to do last week, and that was one where they really barked, okay, winning 36-22 against the Vegas Raiders. And I think this is something where they're live this week, okay? I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I could see the Red Rocket having another one in his sleeve, up his sleeve, and I think that right now, grabbing that 4.5 points with the Panthers is a very sharp play, okay? Next, we're going to get into the Rams and the Bears, and shout out to the Rams. I'd have a lot more money in my pocket if they would have just continued to lose that game. But now as we look into this one, guys, we are going to talk about the Rams and the Bears. And this is where we get a matchup where the Rams are depleted, but hey, they just beat the 49ers. So they go on the road, they play Chicago. It's going to be outside. It's going to be a different environment. I don't really feel the love that Chicago is a minus 3-point favorite. This is kind of where a lot of people will probably bounce the Rams because of what they were able to do last week, which kind of is shocking because that would indicate and lend towards the opinion that this would be a larger spread where Chicago would be favored at home if the Rams would have lost to the San Francisco 49ers. So that's something food for thought to think about if you do like the Bears here, just getting the better side of that number just because of that win that the Rams were able to achieve. This is where a lot of people are going to scoop up the Rams. I just don't see it. I'm not a believer in Caleb Williams, but this is one where I do lend towards the opinion that this is a sharper play alongside the Bears. However, right now as we currently stand, a large amount of the money is on the Rams, and I kind of agree with that. The opening line for this game was 1.5, and the Bears have taken some money. I just don't agree with it. So now we get the field goal for the Rams, and that's probably where the better side will be. Kind of an extreme value play as well. whether or not they stop Kyron Williams in that run game, because that's all they really have, we'll see. But if you do like a teaser partner, this is a firm one that I would be putting on my radar, taking the Rams up. If you can get them close to a 10, getting to that key number is key, and that's kind of how I would approach this game. All right. Next one we're going to get into will be Minnesota. This is one where we talk about the Vikings, and what Sam Darnold's health will be is going to be the big storyline here. But Jordan Love, he almost suited up last game and last week, and now we get the Minnesota Vikings 3-0 against the spread and outright. Okay, so interesting storyline here with Sam Darnold. Will he be in MVP consideration? Right now, the statistics agree with you. Okay, I think right now you can find that number. I think it's like 30-1 for Sam Darnold to win MVP. That's going to be a big storyline. I do look for Jordan Love to continue to make his return this week. Whether or not he'll be kind of limited and they'll kind of make it a vanilla game plan, that's to be determined. But I do think that a quarterback like him is going to have the ability to bounce back. You're going to see a little bit more of the money here on Green Bay. And if you do like Green Bay at home, -2.5, you like that run game. I know Aaron Jones has been balling for the Vikings, but conversely, taking the Green Bay Packers at home in Lambeau, this is one where I would definitely lean towards the under, as well as taking the Packers here. The Packers have been a very profitable team for me, okay? Red Rocket, Red Rifle, who cares? Same thing, you get it. He's still a Charizard, but appreciate it. Thanks, Perry. That is funny, though. I did screw up saying that. But anyways, and full disclosure, I do have a redhead as a daughter, so love her to death, so nothing against redheads. But anyways, I digress. We'll get back into it. Green Bay right now, that's kind of the side I'd be on. I think that they're going to have a nice little running battle here. So I do look for this total to go under. This is a 1 o'clock game, all right, and I do look for the under and the Packers kind of being my side. However, we do see a lot of love on the money line in terms of the Vikings. Will the Vikings go 4-0? That's a very good question. All right, there's a couple teams right now that have surprised the whole NFL, and that would be the Vikings and the likes of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's get it going, and why not? Let's talk about that next game between Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. Now, this is one where a lot of people and a lot of sharp bettors are going to be on Indianapolis at home. Jonathan Taylor and company going against that stout run defense. See what happens, but right now the early indication is all about the Colts here in this spot. We're getting 96% of the money, though, however, on the Pittsburgh money line, and that goes as well. It couples that with the spread. So very same sentiment. I do think this is an under where we get under 39.5. Anthony Richardson against his defense. Pittsburgh anytime defensive touchdown, special teams touchdown. I think that bet's live. But how hard is it going to be to take Pittsburgh here on the money line, -125? That's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. I think they've given up collectively. If we look across the course of the season, against Atlanta, against Denver, and the Chargers, I think we've seen a whopping 26 points that they've given up in 3 games. So on paper, right now, by the numbers, the number 1 defense in the NFL. I look for that to continue against a Indianapolis Colts team at home that, quite frankly, they're just going to look to run the football, keep the ball out of Anthony Richardson's hands, and that way he stays out of trouble. So right now, early lean towards Pittsburgh. All right, and then we'll go back to an interesting game in the AFC South. We have the Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars. We can talk about this a little bit more. For me, this is going to be a big spot for C.J. Stroud. We'll see what the number is. I actually haven't looked at it. But we have the Houston Texans -7. This is a most definite dance partner for a teaser, okay? If you're going to make any teasers, this is going to be the most bet teaser of the market, okay? One that I love as well. I'll have that one in my mix. I already have 2 or 3 games that I consider locks in terms of teasers. I love me some NFL teasers, and I look for the Houston Texans possibly to continue that narrative that we do get Doug Peterson. He might be the first coach ousted in the NFL, so look for the Houston Texans. A little bit stock up on them because of the fact that they're 0-3 against the spread. So I'm not going to really vouch for them in the -7 category. However, within a teaser, that seems to be the best play that we can make in that game. Also, it seems to be that Stephon Diggs is that end zone, red zone target for C.J. Stroud. So I look for that narrative to continue. All right. And then we'll get a little deeper. Jets, Broncos, we saw what Bo Nix was able to do. I mean, they scored 35 plus points, I believe. Albeit this was a spot against Tampa Bay. Sorry, not 36, 26, forgive me. But I do look for the Jets in this spot, really taking care of business. Jets are another fine dance partner for it in terms of a teaser. We got a couple Wong teaser spots, and this is within Houston and Jets. Get them down basically to a pick 'em. I think the Jets cover this number, to be honest with you guys. I don't really see this game being much of an upgrade for that New York Jets defense and then what they had against New England. So give me the Jets against a rookie quarterback. I think that despite Bo Nix having that breakout game, I think that we do get a lot more love and money flowing in on the Jets, and I believe this number will move to 7.5 quicker than not. All right. Philly and Tampa Bay. Go figure. I'm staying away from this game. Philly, you go Saquon anytime touchdown. That's probably how I'd go into it. But in this game, how can you handicap Tampa Bay right now after losing to the Denver Broncos in that way that they did? They're really decimated in terms of injuries. We got Vita Vea questionable with an MCL. Winfield's questionable, and Cameron Johnson and Kalijah Cansey. So they have a lot of the injury bug, but conversely, we do talk about Lane Johnson, Mekhi Becton. Two of the offensive linemen for the Eagles are going to be questionable, as well as the now A.J. Brown continues his hamstring issues, and Devonta Smith, we'll see if he clears concussion protocol. So this is a banged-up game. Strength on strength, I'd go with the Eagles, but Jalen Hurts is a bottom-tier quarterback right now by the numbers. So I'm going to probably stay away from this game if I can. All right, Arizona and Washington. This is an over 50. Take the teaser up. Tease that total. All right, that's kind of where I'm at. Sharper play towards the over as well. And I think this number will eventually hit 50, 51. So I am going to be all about the over in this spot for the Washington-Arizona game. That's just kind of where I stand. All right. And also if you do want to get involved with the Jaden Daniels, the rookie of the year offensively, that's going to be a pretty strong play for, I think, a lot of people out there in the market. So check them out. Find that best number available if you are going to dabble into the rookie of the year futures market. Okay. But as it currently stands right now, we do get a total on that game like I was talking about. It is at 50.5. We are going to see Arizona minus 3.5 as money line. Home favorites laying 3.5. We'll see, but I think that you got to watch for Washington. It may be a little bit fugazi. We might get a little trendy dog action there with the Commanders. So I'm not really to kind of anoint the Commanders as going 3-1. I think Arizona is still a sneaky team as well. So I look for that to be kind of a statement game for both teams, in my opinion. Okay. Cleveland and the Raiders, go for it. I know it's low, but the under 37, how do you not lay that? Right now we see what Carolina was able to do against a defensive-minded coach that likes to run the football. We do get the Antonio Pierce-led Raiders. Right now we're seeing a lot of money come in on the over. It's a low total in the NFL, so 37. If you guys want to dabble with the over in this is kind of a weird teaser spot. You can take it down to 31. Maybe get a 17-14 game. I see the Browns winning this game. I just, right now, Deshaun Watson got to prove it, and their offensive line looks ridiculous right now. It was kind of looking like a battlefield, like a war movie where you're seeing the medics come in. It was just embarrassing. So hard to bet the Browns right now. We've been fooled by them twice, and now they play arguably the worst team in the NFL. So we'll see what happens in this matchup. Raiders at home, I think that's why Cleveland's going to be underdogs in this spot. But I would lean towards the over as well as Cleveland right here on the money line. Okay. Next, let's go AFC West. We got Kansas City and Los Angeles Chargers. This is something where Kansas City, that was one where I'm kicking myself because I did bet it, but I wish I would have hammered it live, I should say, when they were facing the Falcons. And when the Falcons scored that opening drive kickoff, the opening drive series, they got that touchdown. This is something where you do see this a lot in the NFL. Doesn't really testify to what the rest of the game is going to be like, right? For anybody who's played football, you guys are all aware, usually the first 12 to 15 plays, sometimes 18 plays in the NFL, for a lot of offensive coordinators, these are scripted play calls, okay? They're scripted play calls. A couple of them have options. but they obviously don't spend too much time in the huddle for a reason. So, they watch film all week. They know exactly how they're coming out. They know exactly what they're going to do. And that's kind of why I think Atlanta went down there and scored so quick, caught Kansas City sleeping a little bit. And obviously, Kansas City within Spagnolia's defense, they're able to adjust. And we did see Kansas City offensively adjust as well. And, Mahomes is Mahomes. So that's kind of where we're at. We see this number 8.5 for Kansas City. This is always a tough game. It seems to be either Kansas City blows them out, or we do get the likes of like a 35-32 outcome. Not so much with John Harbaugh in the fold and Austin Eckler departing, but I do see this one going under. That's why we're set at 39.5. It's too low right now for me to bet it, though, to be honest. But I do see this one possibly getting into that 17-13 final as we look at this game. That would be kind of my prediction, 17-13, flying way under the total. But it's hard really taking Kansas City unders, albeit by the numbers, they are a very, very profitable under team, as well as a cover team. And it didn't start that way. And Mahomes, kind of when he had all the hype as a first and second year player, they were always laying big numbers and failing to cover a lot of them until they got to the playoffs. So for me, it's going to be KC. I just don't like the 8.5. Another great teaser partner, but on the road, that's a huge number to lay. So we'll see what happens. Justin Herbert's in a boot, but kind of where I stand on this, that it's better played to the under. Bills-Ravens, that's that great game that we got going on, primetime Sunday night football action. For me, this is a big one where we look at the Ravens and the Bills, arguably the two best teams in the AFC right now for my money. But a lot of people don't believe in the Ravens. I was all over it. That was my favorite bet of the week last week, taking the Ravens against the Cowboys. I think the wrong team kind of got the best of the number. I think the Ravens should have been at least a 3-point road favorite in that spot. I think Cowboys, they're kind of fugazi in my opinion as well. But we're seeing a lot of the money on the Ravens. It's just right now, how do you not bet against Josh Allen? What he's able to do, I mean, he got 4 touchdowns last game, able to run effectively. AFC clash, I look for both of these quarterbacks to kind of show out and show up. So this is kind of one of those ones where you don't really want to get in bed with it too early. Let's see what transpires. Let's see where the number settles. We opened at 3.5, and it's already been bet down where Buffalo's taken a lot of that money, now sitting at 2.5. So if you like the Ravens, bet it now. If you like the Bills, if you like the Bills, bet it now. If you like the Ravens, I'd wait, because I do think that we do get this number to 2 or below, possibly even a pick 'em. Because I think that statement that the Bills were able to make on Monday night last night, I definitely think that's going to carry them into next week in terms of the public money. We're already seeing 74% of the money on the Bills money line and on the Bills plus 2.5. So kind of where I'm at. I'm not a big Ravens believer, but last week was more so about them not going 0-3. And this week it's more so, okay, we're here to win the AFC. So at home, I do like the Ravens in this spot, but we'll see. It's kind of a wait and see approach I'm going to have before I bet anything in this game. Okay. Titans, Dolphins, this is a shit game. Stay away from it. 0-3 against the spread for both of these teams. 36.5. We're going to a lot of low totals out here. A lot of low totals. A lot of this is the market adapting. We've been cashing a lot of field goals. The over 3.5 field goal props have been smashing. And then now we get the Dolphins where they don't have Tua, and the Titans, by all intents and purposes, Will Levis isn't going to get it done either. So the Dolphins get it done from a skill perspective. They definitely have the best athletes that are going to be on this field. Look for a chain, anytime touchdown scorer. But outside of that, I'm kind of staying away from this game if I was going to bet it, okay? And then the last game on the NFL card before we get into college will be the Seahawks and Lions. Now, in this one, this is going to be one where I think it's Detroit all the way. I did talk about a little bit of the insight. Detroit has a great betting trend right now against being basically the favorite straight up. And apologies because it's not going to show it to you guys on your screen, but I will click the game so you guys can see kind of the breakdown of the numbers. And this is kind of where we look at the Seahawks taking an overwhelming amount of the public bets with that 3 and a hook. But for me, this is a Lions must-win game. I think the Lions kind of get this one done. And I do think the over 47 is definitely in play. So that's kind of where I stand in this game. That's where I'm at early on in the week. We'll see if anything changes. Detroit has a very lengthy injury report. But as we get a little deeper in the week, we'll see how that all shakes out before I bet anything in this spot, okay? Next, let's go skim through this college football odds board, okay? And this is something where we're going to look into these games We have an early game Thursday, Temple and Army. This is one where I do entertain the over, as well as I do think that Army gets this one done. I really struggle to believe in Temple. I know that they've been doing more in terms of making strides offensively. They've been putting up big numbers, but it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this Army offensive style shapes out against the Temple defense, and just them making that sudden change of pace where Temple had to face Coastal, and then Temple, conversely, I think they fade Utah State, and that was obviously one of the kind of shit show games of college football in last week's games, okay? But a couple other spots of interest, Colorado, UCF, that'll be a nice one there. Colorado's getting 15.5. That's kind of an interesting thing. We do have a lot of playmakers in that game, NFL prospects. So I do look for Colorado possibly to cover that game. It's a big number, but, with what they're able to do, I don't put it past them. And Kansas on a bounce back, that's one that we'll talk about a little bit. But the big game that I want to get into, and we're going to kind of jump around to the biggest ones that jump off at us on the page. Big 12 matchup, Oklahoma State and Kansas State. That's going to be a big one. But also, guys, before I get down to the good ones, I do want to take time to tell you, if you have not subscribed right now on the channel, make sure you guys are all subscribed here. A lot of these familiar names I got in the chat. I appreciate you guys all tuning in, and I do love to see those TBM logos in the chat as well. So appreciate all my channel members. Thanks for giving back and allowing me to do what I do. Don't charge for picks here, but that's a great way to, I kind of just do it. So, for those generous people out there, that's a great way to give back. So I appreciate you guys as always. All right. We got a Wisconsin USC matchup. That's going to be an interesting game. Oklahoma Auburn. Definitely love Oklahoma on the money line, -126. That's going to be a great play for me. That's definitely going to make my card. A couple other games that jump off at the page of me. Rutgers, Washington. Rutgers is a -2.5 point favorite on the road taking on Rutgers. I'm going to be all over the Huskies in this one. Loving the Huskies in that game. It's kind of a fishy number as well, okay? But if we get into the games kind of being played later on in the evening, one of the marquee game for Fox Big Kickoff, that'll be Michigan and Minnesota. Maybe a little bit of a letdown spot for Minnesota, for Michigan after that win against USC. That seemed to be a battle. Wait for this number to hit 10, and if you do want to get on the sharper side, take Minnesota +10. PJ Fleck and company. All right. Kentucky Ole Miss, that'll be a nice game at noon. Yeah. Richard, who does Penn State have? I haven't got to that one yet. Excuse me. Kentucky and Ole Miss, that's one where we look at Ole Miss. I definitely would take Kentucky plus the 17.5 in this one early on without doing too much research into it. Kentucky has a stout defense. I know Ole Miss plays a different brand of football, but this is kind of one where I lend towards Kentucky, 17.5. That's a great spot for me in this matchup. Okay. Little deeper dive going down the board. We talked a little bit about USC, Wisconsin. That's too big of a number for me to lay. Louisville, Notre Dame. That'll be probably one of the biggest 3:30 games we got going on. This is one where I definitely see the opportunity for an under. Notre Dame's really a tough team to handicap. That Northern Illinois game really screwed us up in terms of kind of handicapping them. I do look for Notre Dame to come in here as 6-point favorites at home. I don't know. That's a little bit big of a number for me, but the odds makers have it there for a reason. For me and my money, I'd probably get Louisville with a touchdown and go from there. But Louisville didn't look too sharp last week against Georgia Tech. They ended up covering the 10.5 or the 11, whatever number you got. But for me in this spot, it seems to be a little sharper side there with the Fighting Irish -6, which in my opinion will be a lower scoring contest. Go down the board a little bit, and then we'll get into some of the bigger games. North Carolina and Duke, that's a huge total, 55.5. North Carolina, no defense, fourth quarterback, but they were able to put up, I think, a ton of points. Against James Madison, albeit they got their asses kicked. So I don't think that defense can get right in a couple days. So would lend towards the over. We'll see what Duke can do from an offensive standpoint, though, in this matchup. Big number here, Texas hosting Mississippi State. That's kind of the number. I know Mississippi State's having a bad year, but that's kind of the number you'd see when Texas was playing a tune-up directional school early on in the season, not when they are taking on an SEC foe. 38.5 is a huge number. That's going to be a hard one to lay. Stanford and Clemson. I think Clemson's offense is back. This is one where I do look for the over 57. That would be a pretty good spot. I think that's an early on lean for me, would be the over in Clemson and Stanford. Trying to just kind of find games. Michigan, Ohio State. Yeah, this is a tough number to lay as well. I do think Ohio State gets this one done, winning by 23.5. I'd probably lend towards waiting and taking that juice up 23, getting that key number. But I do like the Buckeyes despite being on the road in that matchup, which is kind of crazy because you get a 23.5 spread coupled with a 48.5 total. That's interesting. So I guess they're banking on the Buckeyes to hold Michigan State to less than they were able to hold Marshall, because if Michigan scores 14, you're looking at a 38-point game with a 48-point total at minimum. So that's going to be kind of interesting. Actually, that would kind of lend me towards believing this is going to be a over 48 in Ohio State, Michigan. That number does not make sense unless Ohio State wins this game kind of in shutout fashion, which being on the road, I don't really see that being the case. So me personally, I would probably lend towards the over 48.5. Also, Michigan State has played a lot more tougher opponents thus far, so they're going to be ready for the task at hand. I think they're going to be a little bit more prepared. So I do see this possibly being a first half play on Michigan State and taking the over 48. That's probably where I would lend towards initially. And then this is it. This is kind of what we wanted to get talking about. Let me just make sure that there's nothing else. Boise State, Washington State, that'll be a great matchup. See if my Ashton Jeanty futures ticket within the Heisman market ends up getting some legs. Oregon minus 24 against UCLA. Love that bet. All over the Ducks in that spot on the road. UCLA, they kind of surprised a lot, but I do look for Oregon to win this game convincingly, getting way above that 24 points. That's kind of where I'd be at. But yeah, let's talk about it. Let's get into that late game, the primetime game. So happy this one's on at 7:30. Availability, I do not have a Bet365 promo code. The only sports book I'm partnered with is BetUS. So depending if you want to get involved with that, if you want to start using BetUS, hop on over to my Discord, and in my affiliate tab, you will see that promo code and link to sign up with BetUS if you want to get involved there. But thank you. I appreciate you trying to show some love. Appreciate that. Alberto, you like Washington State, or do you want me to talk about that game? Yeah, I don't know. Boise hasn't, I like how they played against Oregon. I probably would lean towards Boise here, but I don't really like laying the 7.5. So that's going to be a tough number. So that's kind of one where I would lend towards taking Boise. They'd be a nice dance partner and a teaser. But yeah, Boise's laying 7.5 at home. So we'll see what happens. But you got to be able to stop the run against Ashton Jeanty. He will light you up. He was able to light up Oregon for almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I don't think he played the full game last week against Portland State. So if you're going to watch a West Coast game, watch that young boy run. Yeah, and let's get into that primetime matchup. We got the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, thank God this one's on at 7:30, in my opinion. And this is the one we wanted to talk about, so let's get into it. Without doing too much research into this game and looking at it, I want to go down and actually find it and kind of talk about it. Let me find this. Yeah, the spread's right where I'd have it. 2 points. 2 points for the likes of Alabama. Alabama being home favorites, home dogs. That's going to be kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, this is very, very, very affected by how Georgia played against Kentucky, and how much of that was a look ahead. Who knows? But for me, this is kind of where you look at Alabama. have they really played anybody? I mean, Western Kentucky 63-0, South Florida 42-16, Wisconsin 42-10. Struggling against Wisconsin. I don't know. I don't see it. I know Alabama's at home. Alabama's straight up out of their last 10 games, using some insights from OddsJam or from Outlier. Alabama's 9-1 straight up in its last 10 games versus Georgia. How much do you downgrade them not having Nick Saban? That's going to be the big question. Georgia's also won a ton of road SEC games. They're kind of good in this spot. And, Georgia Bulldogs minus 125. That's a really hard number to pass up. Even if they lose this game, I just find it hard to believe that you would be on any side but the Georgia Bulldogs at that price. Okay. Not going to lay the 1.5. If I bet this game, it's going to be straight up on the money line. Okay. But yeah, this would be one of them spots. If you do like them in a teaser, I would definitely cross over that 0 and get that 4 and a hook, even 5 points really, depending on how much you lay. So that's one rare exception. We'll see where the money heads. See if Alabama takes some love and if that number gets closer to 0. But it's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, I think this is a little bit more so kind of Georgia kind of looking sluggish against Kentucky than Alabama actually being good. So we'll see what happens. But for my money, and I know you get the better quarterback with Alabama, but I think you get the better defense and better coach within Georgia. So I'd roll with that in the SEC all day, twice on Sunday. Minus 125. I'm taking the Bulldogs. So anything else you guys want to talk about? Fire up the live stream real quick before I head out. Nothing. All right. Well, that'll about wrap it up for me. We covered a lot of football in this live stream. I will have videos where we do kind of give you the early on breakdowns of all the primetime games. We're going to do a video for the Thursday night football, a lot of the Thursday college. I believe there's football on Thursday for college, if not at least for Friday. Saturday, Sunday, never stops, never sleeps. Monday night football. So picks in all games. Make sure you have that notification bell turned on. Couple orders of business too. If you guys aren't in the Discord, make sure you guys all follow over there. Join that community. It's totally free. Make sure you all subscribe too before signing out. And let's cash some tickets this week. All right. But that's where we're at. Appreciate you guys watching. If you can, also, if you want to give back to the channel, I do have a couple affiliate links in the affiliate tab within this description, as well as over on Discord. Check all those out. There is a promo code for OddsJam too if you want to sign up with them. That's a great tool I use every single day within making my bets. 35% actually off, as well as a 7-day free trial with Outlier. And also, if you want to become a channel member, give back to the channel. Picks are totally free here, but that is something where you see a lot of channel members here live in the chat, which I love and appreciate. But I thank you guys all for watching. Have a great rest of your evening.